I think everyone was walking into this movie, myself included, thinking that this was just going to be another, like, John Wick-esque type of action film. I mean, when you look at it, it's easy to see that, but I can at least say now I was proven wrong in a way. The action sequences are like that, but the rest of the movie, nowhere near close to being what John Wick is. It is completely on its own thing, which I'm at least glad to be proven wrong in that regard. So. Monkey Man is directed by Dev Patel in his directorial debut, with a screenplay by Dev Patel, Paul Angunawela, and John Collee, and a story by Dev Patel. The film stars Dev Patel, Sharlto, Copley, Pitobash, and Vipin Sharma. According to IMDb's plot synopsis, an anonymous young man unleashes a campaign of vengeance against the corrupt leaders who murdered his mother and continue to systematically victimize the poor and powerless. I had no idea about this film's existence until, no joke, the trailer came out for this. I didn't know what to expect. I thought it was going to be maybe like another horror film because, I mean, it had Jordan Peele's name on it, and usually he's synonymous with horror as he is a producer on this film. But I was surprised when watching it. No, not a horror film, but a action film. I can say that it got my excitement going, and it became easily one of my most anticipated films of the year, having gotten a trailer months before its release. Yeah, it's crazy to think that a movie can just automatically beat that and be my most anticipated film when a trailer comes out and I didn't even know about the movie's existence. After seeing it, what a directorial debut for Dev Patel. I'm just impressed with how everything kind of came together, even though there was a lot of problems behind the scenes. This movie may have never seen the light of day, or you would have seen it in a much different way. But here are now some of the positives that I found with the film. The performances are stellar. Everyone in the cast, especially Dev Patel, give it their all in this movie. Dev Patel is electrifying and visceral as the kid throughout. Dev Patel is an actor that I don't think a lot of people will know. He has been an actor for a while in movies like something like Slumdog Millionaire or something like The Green Knight. He has had a long career for him, and so for this movie to get a mainstream appeal and to get his directorial style out there, I think was amazing, because it shows throughout this movie, not from the directing, but I'm saying for the acting, this man gives everything. He throws himself in this movie and he worked his ass off. It is incredible to see a director slash writer slash actor give so much of his all in this movie. And some of the side performances, like I like Alfonso, who is played by Pitobash, I thought was kind of funny. Him and his banter with Dev Patel, I thought was cool, as well as seeing Sharlto Copley. You know, it was a reunion for him and Dev Patel since they both worked on Chappie. So it was just nice to see so much passion went into this movie, but you can really tell through Dev Patel's performance that he is giving 110 of his effort. The direction is excellent. Director Dev Patel brings a lot of energy and raw emotion with his directing style. Truly a director that will inspire future filmmakers. I think will inspire a lot of filmmakers. I mean, he inspired me in a way on what he was making. And it so clearly shows his love and passion for filmmaking, so much so that if somebody were to tell me this was made by the star, I would have been like, no way. Like, this looks not like a first-time director's film. This looks like an experienced director. No, this is made by a first-time filmmaker. A first-time filmmaker who is also an actor. It's crazy on how much Dev Patel put so much of the, not just even the stylistic approach, but also just the visceral and just emotional core of what this movie is supposed supposed to be in the way he's directing. It is incredible to me on how much he was able to direct people, direct the action sequences and whatnot. It's amazing. The story is deep. The film goes more than just being a revenge film. It's more than just being a John Wick film. It's also a political movie that discusses issues that goes on in India, because for those who don't know, there is a caste system in India, which is once you are born in that system, you don't go up. You stay exactly where you're at. This was something that I just was not expecting. I was not expecting this movie to be a lot more in-depth than it was. And I had heard it was, but just actually watching it, you're like, oh my god, it actually is way more deep with what its messaging is in this movie than ever. Because I was never going to expect that. I was completely surprised by the story that I was just like, wow, this is riveting, man. Like, I didn't think an action movie could do something like this. The action sequences are nail-biting. The way Kid fights people feels brutal and bloody. Some of the most intense action I've seen to date. I think even of this year, because the hand-to-hand combat in this film, yeah, you could say that it is in the style vein of John Wick, but like, man, like, you can tell that, like, the Kid himself, he is a tough opponent, but man, he can get his ass beat. And seeing Dev Patel actually doing the fights himself, as well as actually seeing these actors give it their all, is incredible enough. And I gotta give a round of applause to these stunt and fight coordinators on this movie, because it's incredible on how much talent was put into those fight sequences being as brutal as they can be. The cinematography is incredible. Cinematographer Sharon Mir creates a frantic and chaotic looking film that captures the style that Patel is going for. It's also very gorgeous when scenes take place in a club or a temple. I mean, just the look of India looks incredible and can be very beautiful, but also very stylized as well. And I think that's what Patel and Sharon Mir were going for, to capture that city nightlife for India, but also the beautiness and what India is. So it was incredible to see how much of it can also capture the action, which I think Sharon Mir does an excellent job of doing, because I understand it could be shaky cam, but I think for this film, for what it's going for, and for this being Dev Patel's first movie, I give it a pass, because I'm usually never a fan of shaky cam, but this was not so much so shaky cam in which I can't see what's going on, because I can actually tell what is happening. I usually don't like when shaky cams usually happen and I don't know what's going on, and this one is one of those movies where I'm like, you know what, there's enough here where I can see what's happening, rather than just 100% like not being able to know what's happening at all. The music is fantastic. Composer Jed Kurzel makes for an intense and eerie score that really embraces the culture of India. Easily one of the best scores in an action film. I mean, a lot of time went into the music and making sure that it was distinct but also identifiable with the culture of India. And so for this film to have that culture be put into the music and into this movie with even some of the action sequences, I think worked very well in favor of the film and really boosts this movie up a lot, because you can make a score for an action film and it can come off generic, but thankfully it's not, because of the culture that it is surrounding itself with, and I think that works really well. The production is stunning. Though it was a troubled production due to injuries, one in which Dev Patel, he encountered a lot of injuries in this film, one in particular being, I think his thumb or something with his hand that happened that he had to keep on going, but with injuries with COVID, of course, because this was shot during COVID, and as well as issues with distribution, because at one point Netflix wasn't even going to release this movie because it was going to be on there, but then they were thinking, it wasn't confident enough, and it wasn't until Jordan Peele got involved and saw the film that he's like, oh no, not only does this movie need to be seen, it needs to be seen in theaters. Thanks to him as well, the film shows how much of the hard work paid off. I mean, this is a $10 million movie. I couldn't even tell you that this looks like $10 million. I could tell you that this looks easily like maybe like $150 to maybe like $200 million. Easily couldn't tell you that it was that low of a budget. When the director and writer and star just gets hurt but keeps going on, that shows dedication. That shows a filmmaker's passion to making something. Despite all the injuries, Dev Patel perseveres. The editing is solid. Each scene is well put together and does so when the action goes down. The editing was well thought out, because easily that editing could with that shaky cam could easily screw this movie up, but thankfully I think that Patel and co. were able to make sure that the editing matched with what the film was, as well as making sure that it was not too confusing with the editing, because again, with shaky cam, it can be very easy to get lost in. So thankfully that was planned out very well and was done amazing. It's almost perfect. I say almost, because there were maybe some few issues that I saw with the film, so here are some of the negatives that I have. The flashback sequences in the film are inconsistent. Though shown at the beginning of the film keeps on still showing more of the flashbacks throughout when it kind of really doesn't need to. It should have just been all at the beginning and that be the end of it, because I feel like it keeps on showing it so many times that I just am like, you know, I feel like if it had just been like an echo or a chant that you would hear in the kid, I think that would have been more powerful than just constantly showing us the village being burned 100 times, because I feel like by doing that, it kind of weighs thin on the revenge plot, because I feel like they're showing more than just letting the idea of hearing those voices and echoes be played out. I think that would have worked much more than just having multiple flashbacks to the beginning of the film. I do think that the pacing can drag at certain points. There are some moments where a scene's pacing could kind of pick up that I feel like they kind of do slow down at, and I think that it could have been done a little bit quicker, but thankfully it's only certain scenes. But seeing that it's been a while, I can't 100% remember what scenes they were, but I do remember there were a few moments in the film where it does drag at certain points, like dip in some qualities, but for the most part, like I said, they're small. But I do remember there being some sequences that could have been sped up a little bit. The film really shows the determination and dedication that Patel has for filmmaking. Against all odds, Monkey Man delivers on an action-packed and depth story that will leave audiences stunned. And I have to say, man, what a hell of a debut. And I hope that Patel continues to make more films, not just action movies. I'm saying just movies in general, because I do think that he has a bright future in directing and writing. I hope he gets more acting gigs, because I do think that with this movie, it really proves that he can be a versatile actor. I mean, he already was with something like Slumdog Millionaire and The Green Knight, but I think with this movie, I hope he gets much more mass appeal, because I do think he deserves it. Especially with this movie, he definitely does. I'm going to give Monkey Man an 8 out of 10. I think it's a great action film. I hope a lot of people gets to see this, because I do think that is easily, to me, one of the best movies I've seen this year. And I hope to watch it again, because I really would like to really watch it and see it for a second time. So I will now have my review for Civil War, which is going to be an interesting review. So yes, look forward to those reviews and other movie TV show reviews coming soon.